Hey guys, welcome to another Bitcoin Builder video, and in today's video I'm going to go through and take a look at Yearn Finance. And before we do that though, we'll take a look at Bitcoin real quick because Bitcoin's just sold off here and a lot of people are not really sure what's going on here, including myself. I didn't know what's going on here. I have a bias, or had a bias, that it was going to sell off a little bit more. When we look at what's going on with the price, we were consolidating here, and so at some point it's going to break out. That's not really a question. The question is, it going to go up or down? And really, it could have gone either direction, and that would have looked appropriate on this chart. But I was looking kind of like at this big run up here, followed by, or what followed this big run up here, all the way since back in October, and possibly even all the way back since March. If you want to really look at this, and you really want to measure this properly, you would go all the way back here, down here to March, at $4,600 or somewhere in this area, 5,000, whatever you want. You pick a number here and just measure up. That's a 800% gain. Like, does that even make sense for Bitcoin in this short amount of time? 962%, like, depending on exactly what point you measure from. Almost 1,000% gain in Bitcoin in less than a year. Bitcoin is supposed to be the one that moves conservatively, and the altcoins are supposed to be doing this 1,000% gain stuff. So with a retracement, seemed like it would be the most appropriate thing. It seems like the price, when you do look at what was going on here during this consolidation period, we were seeing the price come down here to these levels and get bought back up, all through here, but it wasn't quite enough buying volume to push the price up over 42,000. And so I actually had to make some adjustments to my systems because, I felt like we were either going to, kind of consolidate or sell off again. So I, wasn't planning on buying until we got over 42,000 again. And it does look like we sold off. Now, where do we go from here? I kind of would anticipate maybe a little bit more fall. Maybe down to 25,000 would seem appropriate, or even 20,000 is a possibility. Maybe we stop here at this 100-day moving average. I don't really know, but I think that we've already started to establish a little bit of momentum here, and it's a good possibility that this will keep going down. I wouldn't just buy up a bunch right here. I would give it some time to see what happens. Unfortunately, when Bitcoin sells off, our altcoins sell off too, at least in the dollar price, and you have to watch your equity go down, which is never very exciting if you are planning on holding your coins. But what you just need to keep focused on is if your coin that you're holding is staying the same or even gaining versus Bitcoin. So if you're looking at that chart, if that's holding its ground, then I think you're doing okay. And let Bitcoin do what it's going to do. If your coin does stay consistent versus Bitcoin on the Bitcoin chart, when Bitcoin turns and goes up, that's when you're going to see those dollar values start to skyrocket, and possibly your coin goes up as well versus Bitcoin, and you start seeing some double gains because you get the price of Bitcoin going up and you get the price of your altcoin going up versus Bitcoin, so then you start double dipping in your gains. So I had a question that came up regarding Yearn Finance, because I did put out a video into the members area talking about Yearn Finance, and one of the things that I mentioned was that it was potentially a good buy for a longer term. And so the question here is, we're looking at this now, the Yearn Finance team talking about creating a bunch of new tokens out of thin air, and 6,666 tokens to be exact. And would that really change anything as far as my initial thoughts on Yearn Finance being like a good play? And so that's what we'll look at here. And first of all, my initial thoughts on this is, when you look at what they're doing here, they want to create these tokens, and even though they said they weren't going to do that, they want to create some new tokens anyways, because they've realized that they don't have enough cash flow to kind of work with and do the kind of things that they want to do. As they reference in this article here, a lot of the other DeFi platforms have big treasuries. Uniswap over here with a treasury at $4 billion, which allows them, the ability to do a lot of things. If you've got the capital and the cash flow in your treasury, you can fund all types of things. And then by contrast, they're showing here that Yearn Finance has got $500,000 in their treasury. So it's like next to nothing compared to, some of these other projects. And furthermore, when the project was created at Yearn Finance, they didn't hold any tokens, for incentivizing the team and doing anything like that. So that's what they want to do. They want to take, like 2/3 of that, 4,444, put that into, the treasury. That would be overseen by the operations fund. They take 1/3 of that, and they would compensate contributors to the project, both early and current contributors. So overall, that doesn't sound it doesn't sound completely out of line, like an idea as far as what they want to do here. I mean, yeah, that will skew the token, economics just a little bit. Not too much. I mean, their max supply is only 30,000, so to be 36,000 is probably not the end of the world. These numbers will get skewed just a little bit, but I don't think it will create too big of a difference. And one of the things that I look at here is, with the token being basically a governance token that allows the people holding the token to vote and decide on things like this, you just have to imagine that when they went through this whole process of having this debate of this whole proposal, you have to imagine that there were enough people in there that had a vested interest in Yearn Finance that didn't want to see any actions taken that would screw the project up. Now, of course, there were some people, according to the article here, that were kind of angry and decided that they didn't want to be a part of this anymore, and that's understandable. That's going to happen. It happened with Ethereum. It's going to happen with other projects. That's just the way it is. And you can kind of put yourself in their shoes and kind of understand where they're coming from. But as somebody who's just wanting to invest into a project and make some profits and then take those profits out later and then move on to the next investment, in my perspective, I don't see it being a big issue. I don't plan on holding Yearn Finance for the rest of my life. I plan on, if I take a position with Yearn Finance, I do not have a position now, but if I do take a position, which I definitely would consider, I don't care about these types of things and the morality of them necessarily. I care on, is it going to destroy the project or is it going to help the project? If we look at the chart and we zoom out here and get a weekly view, I think that the bottom line when I look at the chart is, even if they were to create some more tokens, it's not like they're doubling the supply or tripling the supply. They're just talking about creating like not even a third more. And then those will be vested and locked up as well. So it's not like people are just going to dump them right away. So like I said, the token economics would change a little bit. But here's the bottom line. When we look at the price right here and we compare it to some of its old all-time highs here, but this is back when in 2020. This is not even during the bull market. And we project forward and we look at where can Yearn Finance go during the next 12 months or however long the bull market stretches, then I think that we've got good potential in here built in, regardless of if they print out a few thousand more tokens or not. Like that, overall, that move that they're making here to create more tokens is going to get just absorbed into the project dynamics and the overall picture of what it is. People are going to forget about it, generally speaking. I'm talking about the average investor out there. And the price is going to do what it's going to do. So it will continue to go up, in my opinion, compared to, this is the Bitcoin chart here. So if it goes up this much versus Bitcoin or anything related to that, if it goes up to its old all-time high, there's over 250%. If it goes up to get to this level here at 5 or 9 or 10. Anywhere it goes like that has got some pretty big potential ahead of it. And if you don't see that, then you're really not looking at, it's like you don't see the potential of Yearn Finance or you don't see the potential of cryptocurrencies in general, all that kind of stuff. If you understand that stuff and you really look closely at this, you know how these things can go up 10 times. even under irrational circumstances. Coins that have no value whatsoever and have no business having money go into them make these giant gains. And that happens during bull markets. So would Yearn Finance just all of a sudden, peter out and just start selling off because they printed up, 6,000 more tokens? I don't think so. And I like on this second article here, basically talking about the same issue, there was a statement in here that I think illustrates what I'm trying to say. So let's see if we can find that here. So here it says right here, talking about Yearn Finance, it says, as its team and ambitions grow, it continues to look more and more like the protocol that will gobble all of DeFi. And you let that sink in for a minute. Now, sure, this is just one author's opinion, but it's an opinion based on what has been transpiring over the past, 5 months or however long that they've been doing what they're doing. They've been acquiring and, project after project. And if you just keep that in mind, is that going to stop just because they've created some more tokens? Or is that going to accelerate now that they have extra tokens to, fund more ambitious endeavors? You have to look at it both ways. Yes, it will screw up the token dynamics over here and all the metrics will change a little bit. But at the same time, if it gives them more funds to work with, can they now accomplish more? And not only make up the difference that they lost by inflating the currency or the token just a little bit, but surpass that in creating even more gains because they now have more resources in their war chest. So that's how I would look at it. My opinion on this does not change as far as what this can do. And I simply was saying, hey, if you were buying Yearn Finance down here and you just held it for the move that we know is going to come for a lot of these coins, a lot of the good coins, and I think Yearn Finance will be included, it'll get a big pump. And if you just held that, if it goes up 800 or 900% or even 500% or whatever, this is a Bitcoin chart. So you're multiplying your Bitcoin gains in this scenario. So if it goes up 10 times and you have one Bitcoin down here, then by the time that's all said and done, if you get out at the right time, you now have 10 Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up to $200,000, you now have $2 million. So as long as you have a plan in place and you play your cards right, you can make some strategic moves like this, position yourself, accumulate, get your plan in place for how you're going to play this, be smart about it, and it could be just an easy path to making some really good returns. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling anybody to do any of this stuff. You got to make your own decisions, just like you have to do your own research. Everything I'm telling you now is just my own opinion. You should not take anything that I'm saying here on this video or any others and make decisions on that. It's one piece of information that you can add into your basket of research that you're doing as you look at everything else. You come here, you read these articles, you go and you look at all the other information, and you decide, you make your own decisions on how you want to invest, and that's how you have to do this if you want to do it right. So hopefully my opinion on this particular issue is of some use to somebody out there. And the bottom line is, you can take this kind of general analysis that I'm doing, or this way of looking at these things, and you can apply it to any coin. Yeah, anything that comes up, you just kind of look at it from this perspective, the perspective of a trader or an investor. You don't really care about the project per se. If you do, that means you're a developer, or you're somewhere in with the in crowd of these things, and that's probably a different story. You don't need to look at, you've got enough coins probably, as an early investor or something like that. But just for the average person who's looking to catch a move here or there, you don't necessarily care about the details of this stuff unless they're doing something so detrimental to their project that it's just going to, cause it to crash, or if they're not doing anything. That's the whole other end of the spectrum. If they're sitting there doing nothing, then that's not going to, do much either. It's their responsibility to get out there and promote their project, to do the work, to do the development, to draw in, to make the partnerships and do all that kind of stuff. And Yearn Finance has been doing that. They've been doing a pretty good job of that stuff. And that's one of the things that I like about them, is that they are very active. They're constantly doing things and making things happen, and I think that they've probably gonna end up having a bright future because of that. And for certain, I think if you're getting these prices down here, I think that'll be a good trade. We've got a nice double bottom started here on the weekly chart. I mean, that's essentially how I look at that. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe this one's just a little bit lower, but hey, sometimes this is how they look, and that signals the bottom's in, and you get a good gain here. Either way, I don't see this having the bull market kind of officially started. I don't really see this dropping way down, to these lower levels. The dollar price may drop down a little, but if you're keeping your eye on the prize, which is increasing your Bitcoin holdings, this is the chart you're really looking at for that. So I hope that helps. Make sure you guys subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff if you haven't already. And we will see you guys again in the next video.